My father has been actually my anchor. My long-term career goal was to become CFO of a good listed MNC. There is no shortcut to success. If I reflect back, average looking, there is no set path to be able to achieve what you want in life. It's about knowledge is power.
Stress नहीं होता कभी-कभी.
Important thing is to realize that you need not feel guilty. Best is to accept it, and I cannot be a fantastic mom. First of all, why Varun blue, grey, black?
जो लोग अपने कदमों की काबिलियत पर विश्वास रखते हैं वो ही मंजिल पर पहुंचते हैं. और मेरे सब चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट फ्रेंड्स, हम लोगों की एक मंजिल होती है किसी बड़ी कंपनी का CFO बनना. एंड वी हैव सच वन CFO विद अस, Preeti Gupta Mohanty. Preeti is the CFO of Ingersoll Rand. Welcome Preeti to our show.
Thank you, Varun. Thank you for hosting me.
Preeti, कैसा लगता है आपको जब सब लोग बोलते हैं कि आप MNC की CFO हैं?
I feel good without doubt. As you said, when we go into industry after passing out CA, my long-term career goal was to become CFO of a good listed MNC. And having achieved that, I won't lie, it gives me a sense of achievement. At the same time, I also feel a lot more responsible. So it's responsibility, coupled with a sense of achievement and empowerment.
Can you also elaborate a bit on your recent journey? So maybe like take 1 minute from CA to CFO, maybe like 1 minute and 20 years of journey.
Okay. That's quite a demanding pitch you want from me in a minute. But yeah, reflecting back, I would like to actually start from not just CA, but if I reflect back, I'm an average looking Baniya girl. So CA काफी obvious था for belonging to a Baniya family that CA or business it is. It was an aspirational profession for me, and having said that, hardly any women, actually none in my family was ever out for work. So from that perspective, doing CA and then going out in service and working was a big challenge. It's a lot of hard work. CA is like that, 5 year of tapasya that you have to put in, leaving everything aside and putting in a lot of hard work. But I passed out with flying colors. I secured a rank in finals. Having said that, it was just the start of journey. Against my expectations, there were no companies lined up to hire me. So I thought that, I passed out with a rank, life would be easier from now on, but that's not the case. For good 4 to 5 months, I appeared for multiple interviews, but I could not get a decent break in industry. So my first break as such was in consulting. I got my break after 5 months of passing out, being a rank holder. So you can understand, the world came crashing into me that, this is the start of my struggle. Okay, so I got a break after 5 months in one of the big fours as an audit assistant. And for 2 years, I was into audit. And after that, I got a break into industry. I started working with Coca-Cola India. And after 4 years of working in Coca-Cola, then I switched to GlaxoSmithKline India. And my last 12 years of career were with GlaxoSmithKline, doing a set of, I think, 6 to 7 different roles. And post that in 2019 was when I got my break as a CFO of a listed entity. And this role just didn't cover India, but it's also a finance director role for Middle East, India, and Africa. So somewhere probably where I wanted to lead my career to, I think I'm on the right track.
Wonderful journey, Preeti, I must say. Maybe a very silly question. What after becoming a CFO?
What after becoming a CFO? I think it's just a phase. It's just a milestone achieved in a journey. CFO is a designation, right? And once you become a CFO, then you grow with the company, right? You grow with the company you work for, you grow the business. And as I said, it's a very responsible position to be in. You bring in new geographies within your control, you expand your product portfolio. Once you have achieved there, then it's the growth journey.
Preeti, so ours is a career building show, and our viewers are at different stages of their career. So whosoever is watching us today, maybe at a general manager finance or a financial controller position, and they also aspire to become a CFO. How can they become a CFO, or how can they prepare themselves? Are there specific qualities which they should be focusing on, or any skill set they should be acquiring?
See, there is no set path to be able to achieve what you want in life, be it a CFO or any other goal that you set for yourself. But one thing I can surely say is that there is no shortcut to success, right? You really have to widen your knowledge base. I'll talk about myself, right? No more gyan. When I knew that I had to become a CFO, I started looking for how can I diversify my knowledge, my domain in finance itself. As in, I did partnering roles for sales, for marketing, for various, business lines for a number of years. I did M&A for 2 years. I did supply chain finance controllership, which is the factory side of finance. I did internal audit for a span of my career. I also did an international assignment for good, 3 to 4 months, just to gain insight as to what could be the various, facets of finance. And this was all in the preparation for the next level role, for my long-term objective of becoming CFO. I could say that one could specialize in the stream that you like. For instance, I may say that I like business partnering. That's what I like to do. And I don't like, for example, I don't want to be in internal audit. But it's not about what I like, what I don't like. It's about knowledge is power. You should have experience of various domains to be able to, guide business in a senior role. If you don't know about a particular area, how would you be able to comment or give guidance to that part of team when you become a functional leader? So that's what my advice would be. Diversify as much as you can your experience, right? Don't limit yourself to things that you like, things that are outside your interest area, and don't try to grow too fast, make your roots stronger. But keeping all that aside, one thing which I say stands out to all my direct reports, my team members who are aspiring to become future CFOs is ownership, right? When you are working in a corporate job, right, you may not be the owner of the company, but in whatever function, whatever role you're working in, take decisions thinking that what would I do if I was the owner of this business and it was my money which was at stake. Believe me, more often than not, your decision will be the right one. That's what I say, is being looked at in any strategic leader, not just finance, for any role, that what kind of ownership, what kind of aptitude and attitude the person brings on table to lead.
Okay. प्रीति, इतना कुछ नॉलेज लेना है, मर्जर्स एंड एक्विजिशंस करना है, ऑडिट भी देखना है, टैक्सेशन भी देखना है, जीएसटी भी देखना है और इंटरनेशनल अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स भी देखना है. स्ट्रेस नहीं होता कभी कभी?
बिल्कुल होता है, किसको नहीं होता.
आप स्ट्रेस कैसे मैनेज करते हो?
Phases of life, at different phases of life, you have different kinds of stress. I don't think that there has ever been a phase in life for any one of us जहाँ पे stress नहीं होता. But in my current role, see, the stress is of different kind. As I said, here I may not have to do work with my own hands. I may not be, calculating on Excel sheets, but it's the stress of decision making. It's the stress of taking decisions and being ready to bear the brunt of it. Okay, so here what I do is I I exercise. I like exercising, and I've learned over the years, Varun, you're a good example of it, how to balance health and your work life. I like exercising, I like running, I like listening to music, and I combine the both. So, I'm sure beat any time, I definitely try to find some time during the day where I put on my music and I run, I walk, or I exercise. So that's one thing which de-stresses me. And lately, I've also started doing some bit of meditation and yoga with age.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
How do you manage your time between your office and your son? I'm not asking the family.
Right, right. That's always a challenge for working mom. Any working female you ask for, I think managing time, not family, as you rightly said, making time for your kids and your work is always a constant struggle. And no matter what, you always end up feeling guilty. Important thing is to realize that you need not feel guilty, right? The realization that I will feel guilty and I should not feel guilty is the key. So I think years after my son was born and I resumed my work back right from the 5th month, he was just a toddler, not a toddler, actually an infant. I used to feel so guilty कि इतने छोटे बच्चे को छोड़ के how do I go for work? I'm focusing on my career. What about my son? But uh, over the years, I realized that this guilt is such a inherent part of a working mom that you just can't do away with it. So best is to accept it, and best is to give yourself that credit. I am doing the best I can, and I cannot be a fantastic mom giving 100% attention while being a CFO giving 100% attention to business. So when it is time to give attention to my son, my business has to stay at pause. And when it is time to focus on my business, my son will have to take a pause. So it's just that balancing act, and you can't be perfect in both, but you just somehow strike a balance.
Okay, Preeti, let me ask you a couple of personal questions. What is the role of your father in building your career?
Did you know? How come just father came in? Why not mother? All right, but I think you hit the nail bang on head. My father has been actually my anchor, not just in my career, in my life, in everything what I do. As I started saying that average looking girl born in a Baniya family where, forget women, I think no one before me has gone into service. Either most of my family is into business or they have their own offices, professionals. But service is something out of the sync for them. So it was a rebellious act for me to say that I won't marry after college. Right? My mom got a shock of her life that I won't get married at the age of 22. Right? But my father supported me. I always wanted to make him proud of me, and that's what kept me going.
So that's a wonderful message to all the fathers watching this show.
Okay, including you.
Including me, yes. Okay, Preeti, one more question. अगर आपको आज टाइम मशीन मिल जाए और आप पास्ट में चले जाएं, कोई ऐसी चीज है जो आप चेंज करना चाहते हो जिसका आपको आज भी रिग्रेट है?
बहुत सारी चीजें actually. We just spoke about, challenges of a working mom. There was this one incident where my son was around 2.5 years old, and for my career growth, I accepted an international assignment where I had to do very frequent to and fro to an international location. While the company was very much receptive and adapted to the fact that I will come back frequently, but yeah, for 3 weeks in a month, I was staying outside, and he was too young, and In my third month of assignment, one late evening, I got a call from my husband that my son is hospitalized and he was to undergo surgery the very next day. And all this happened while he was playing in the garden. And he hurt himself because he was unsupervised. And I felt so helpless. And you can't imagine the amount of guilt that I went through. And I was panicking. I was trying to get the next flight back to India as soon as possible. And whole night I kept on trying with tears. And it was only next day that I could manage to get on board a flight and come back. And by the time I landed, my son's surgery was completed. But that's one event where I thought probably I should not, maybe it wouldn't have happened if I was there with him. I hadn't given that preference or taken that international assignment in that point of time. But you don't know, as I said, guilt will always be there. Shayad मैं होती तो भी ये होता, but जाने क्या होता, I don't know. So that's one moment which I recall back, and जहाँ मुझे लगता है कि शायद I could have avoided that part had I been with him and not at my work.
Preeti, what is your life around blue, gray, black moment?
First of all, why Varun blue, gray, black? Why not pink? Why not red?
Because most of the people while going to office, they wear blue, gray, black. That's how the name came.
Okay. Then I think, I'll just put a dash of diversity and inclusion in your blue, gray, black while I'm wearing blue today. But yes, years back, I interviewed for a role with a very reputed MNC. And after a lot of rounds of interviews, deliberation, I got selected and I was made an offer. This was a time when I was a working mom and my son was just, I think, 2.5, 3 years old. After taking the offer, I realized that there are certain nuances I must discuss and put it on table. And my request to the company was that if they could flex my working hours by 1 hour, which means I start an hour late from the normal office timing and I end my day a little an hour late, right? And to my surprise, the organization said that that is not feasible, right? You will have to turn up to office at 9 and our work timings are not flexible. I had to give up that role because I had to drop my son to daycare while coming to work during that phase of life. And there was no way I could be in office by 9. And, I just think back and I realize that we talk so much about diversity and inclusion now, right now, and for right reasons, this topic is in so much of discussion, so much of limelight. Because years back, I'm talking like 9 to 10 years back, this happened. While organizations want to have more and more women, working mothers in their workforce, are we making our work culture ready to accommodate those women? Women who got selected basis their competence, basis their qualification. Was it that difficult for an organization to flex the work timings by an hour? Right? So those are the questions which I think for rightful reasons corporate have started asking themselves now. And the whole focus on diversity and inclusion really makes me feel happy because at least a voice of women which had no ears 10 years back is being heard now. And without any prejudice to my male colleagues, it's not a level playing field. My dear friend, it's not. The challenges of a working woman are very different from those of men. While the objectives are not. Okay.
I do agree. And all the working women, hats off to all of them, and including my wife. And she is also a super mom. And I think, Preeti, we should call more and more such super moms to our show. Thank you so much for your time today, and thank you for watching us. If you have any questions, please reach out to us, and you can also follow Preeti on LinkedIn and learn from her. Professionals watching us, please take a note that consider yourself as owner of the company and start taking ownership if you want to become a successful CFO. See you next time very soon. Stay tuned.